Hi, I'm Phyllis. My website is southernfrugal.com. Today we're going to make, we'll just call it, let's see, enhanced chocolate sheet cake. And it's got a special ingredient on the cake. So we're ready to get started. Now this is the same recipe that I have used on multiple cakes. We just changed things around a little bit. Alright, I've got my mixer all set up here and let's get going with it. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is put 4 large eggs into the bowl. And we're just going to whip those up just a little bit. To add some sugar and some Hershey's cocoa. That's this right here, just cocoa with no sugar or any additives in it. Alright, so I'm going to put the ½ cup right down in the sugar. Now I actually sift this with one of these fine little strainers because cocoa always seems to have just lumps in it, really. So I'm just going to mix it in with the sugar because the sugar crystals will break up any lumps and kind of make it incorporate much better. Alright, so this is 2 cups of sugar, just plain ordinary white sugar, and 1/2 cup of cocoa. So that ought to be good enough right there. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that in right on top of those eggs. And we're going to go ahead and add our flavoring in it this time. So it's going to be 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So there's 1. And there's 2. We're going to also add 1 teaspoon of imitation butter extract, they call it. And this is pretty thin, so you want to not measure it over your bowl because it comes out pretty fast. All right, 1 teaspoon of that. And we're going to add 16 ounces of whipping cream. Now, this takes the place of butter or any kind of oil in the cake. Put that open. Just go ahead and dump it right in. Now this is a pretty easy recipe because you don't have to have your butter at room temperature and then incorporate it and all that kind of stuff. Alright. We're going to go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, I'm going to put the recipe down below in the Show More section right under this video. I'll put down all the ingredients there. Alright, now we want to mix this and hopefully a lot of the sugar will get dissolved when we're doing that. Alright, here we go. Just starting it out on the lowest possible little speed there. So we've already got all of our sugar, eggs, flavoring, salt in there, and the whipping cream. So all we have to add now is the baking powder and the flour. Alright, so let me show you over there. I have sifted my flour and then measured it, and I did this on a piece of wax paper. So sift it first, then measure, because otherwise you'll have way too much flour if you don't sift it and then measure it. Alright, so we're just going to give this a little while here. I'm going to go ahead and ahead and mix in 4 teaspoons of baking powder in with my flour. Again, that's 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, it's not going to be baking soda, but baking powder. I'm just going to whisk that in like that. So I think we're pretty well ready to start adding our flour. And again, I've got my mixer on low. And again, this is 3 cups sifted and measured of all-purpose flour. And I'm using White Lily all-purpose flour. And it's from 100% soft winter wheat, which makes, of course, the best textured cakes. So let's just get this flour all mixed in. And I'm using the paddle for the KitchenAid that scrapes the side of the bowl. And the pan size is going to be 11 by 16 by 2 inches. Now, I've made a cake similar to this before, which I did a video on, called Milk Chocolate Sheet Cake, I think is the name of it. And it's very similar to this, except with this one, I added a lot more of the cocoa. Turn that up just a little bit. Scrape down the sides, because that little paddle misses that little top edge. So you do have to scrape that down, even when you've got that paddle on. All right, gonna mix it just a teeny bit more. That ought to do it, because we don't want to mix it too much. Oops, I've got flour right there. Let's just mix it a teeny bit more. There we go. All right, we're ready to pour this in the pan. Now, I'm going to use the Baker's Joy to spray my pan. Viewers told me about that. I had no idea what Baker's Joy was, and y'all informed me, I guess, months and months ago, and I have been using it ever since. Let me take that off. All right, so what I'm going to do is spray this pan. Actually got some cocoa in there, it would appear, and I was sifting that out. This is an 11 by 16 by 2 inch pan. You can find these on Amazon. And I'm going to use the Baker's Joy to spray it, and I'm going to spray it in the sink because it really will get all over your counter. Hold on. That ought to work. Let's get my area cleaned up here a little bit. so here's the pan all sprayed. I'm going to go ahead and dump this in. And again, that whipping cream really takes the place of butter that you would normally put in a cake. Get all that out of there. And we're going to bake this again in a preheated 350 degree oven for about 30 minutes. And I would check it, depending on your oven, at about 25 minutes. Now you can use that smaller 9 by 13 pan, but it makes the cake too high in my opinion. So, and don't worry about any little lumps, they'll come right out when this is being baked. Alright y'all, we're going to put it in the oven, and let me get my area cleaned up and we'll be back. Alright, we've got our cake baking right now. It's been in the oven maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes. I had to clean up all that area. So we're ready to make our enhancer now. That's what we'll call it. So what we're going to use is 1/2 cup of just regular plain white sugar, 1 tablespoon of cocoa. Just dump that in. You want to whisk this around to get rid of any lumps in the cocoa. Like that. Those little lumps you see are from the sugar. Alright, and to this, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of coffee. And you could actually just make some instant coffee in the cup like that. So we're going to dump that in. Turn our burner on sort of medium high, and we're just going to bring this to a boil. And we're just going to boil it until the sugar dissolves. And this is going to be our enhancer, we'll call it, for the chocolate cake. Alright, we'll be back. It'll probably start boiling in about 2 minutes. We'll be back. Alright, we are back, and our coffee and cocoa and sugar mixture just came to the slightest boil, but all the sugars dissolved. So we're going to set this aside. In fact, what I'm going to do is actually pour it back in the cup. I think it'll cool faster because you do want it to cool. So see if we can get it in this cup. There we go. Alright, so we're going to set this over to the side and let it sort of come to room temperature, which shouldn't take too long. Alright, so we're ready to go ahead and start working on our icing. The cake's probably got another, I don't know, 10 minutes or so to cook. So y'all, let me move you around. Hold on. Alright, we're going to go ahead and start making the icing. We're just using a cream cheese icing for this cake. And I'm using 10-ounce powdered sugar, 10x powdered sugar. I'm using 16 ounces or 1 pound. See if we can get that open. Alright, so we're going to dump in 4 tablespoons of melted butter right in the bowl. I like to do that first. It kind of prevents the sugar from getting clogged up on the bottom of the bowl. And we're going to add 8 ounces of cream cheese, and I use the full fat. Get that in there. We're going to go ahead and dump the sugar in. Just dump it all in at one time. And we're going to add to that a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Alright, so now we're ready to just mix that all up. Now, we're probably going to add a little milk or half and half to this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get that out. because you want it of spreading consistency. So I'm just going to go ahead and add, it's probably about 3 tablespoons, but we'll probably have to add more. And you can just use milk for this if you want to. All right, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and add a little more of the half and half. So I would say even up to maybe 1/4 of a cup or even 1/3 of a cup to get the icing of spreading consistency. So let's turn that up a little bit. We're just going to let this keep beating for a while, and once the cake gets out of the oven, we'll be back. All right, we just took the cake out of the oven. It's still, well, I took it out a couple of minutes ago, but it's still warm. Our little enhancer is still warm too, so we're going to put a little bit of that on the cake and just let it soak in. Kind of a tablespoon at a time, and just run it over the top. Kind of slowly. To me, it sinks in a lot better if the cake is still warm, because we're looking for moist and a sharp chocolate taste without actually adding more chocolate. Yes, I'm actually scraping my spoon over the top of it rather than holding it up high so it doesn't so much of it run down on the side of the cake. All right. All right, so we're going to let this cool for a little while before we put the icing on it. And I've already got the icing made. There it is right there. So we'll be back after this cake cools a little bit. All right, we'll be back. All right, the cake's been sitting here for maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. We're going to put just a little more of that enhancer on it. But not much, because you don't want it to turn out soggy. Now, what that will do, I mean, gravity will take this little enhancer down. If you leave it sitting out on the counter, I like to leave it sitting out overnight. Of course, you could put this in a spray bottle and spray it, but you don't want to use it all now, because again, you don't want to make the cake soggy. So what we're going to do now is kind of pour that icing over it. So I added enough milk in the icing to make it so it'll kind of run out of the bowl. So here we go. So there's what the icing looks like. You want it to just almost run out of the bowl. So we're just going to dump it on now. Because you don't want to be spreading it and have that top of the cake come up in the icing. Let's go on this side now. Get some over here. Oops. Drop some on my counter. All right, so now we're going to take the back of the spoon, just kind of run it over this to smooth it out a little bit. And let some kind of run down in the edges. You don't want to do this too much now because it'll, again, bring up that top layer of the cake. Just be real gentle. Again, the cake is still a little bit warm. Like that. Oops, see how it'll come up like that? You have to be really gentle with it. Kind of smooth it out, see what happens? Yeah, I get that. Just be real, real gentle. All right, so now we're going to spoon a little bit of this topping over. Just drizzle it just a teeny bit. That ought to do it right there. Now we're going to take it and just like that and like that. All right, there it is. All right, I'm going to wait a few minutes and I'm going to cut a teeny little piece of this and show y'all what it looks like. We'll be right back. There's what it looks like. Okay, we're going to add some more of this little enhancer to it. Let me show you. Got to get Mr. Bucky a piece too, but there's the presentation. All right, I'm going to taste this for y'all because y'all always want me to taste it. I already know what it tastes like, but soak up some of that juice. Chocolate doesn't get any better than this. Once you add that coffee to it, it greatly magnifies the taste of the chocolate. There's another piece. It just super enhances the taste of the coffee. Of course, you can certainly put like instant coffee in cake batters all the time. People do that. But when you put the almost just like a simple sugar syrup, only it's with adding the cocoa and the coffee. So it's super delicious. You're going to need a big glass of milk when you have a piece of this, and don't cut a real big piece because it is so rich you'll get tired of it pretty quick. All right, y'all, we will see y'all next time. Bye for now.